Hello there everyone and welcome to another video. In this video I am going to explain to you how to build every single god in Smite. Now before we begin I have a few notes just so we're all on the same page. First, I have gone and divided up the gods into categories that will dictate what build they should go into. I will explain what made gods fit into these certain categories so that in games you'll be able to see what style you're going for and potentially use one of the different builds for a god if you find that you want to fit a different threshold or a different playstyle. Second, builds are going to be broken up into two phases. The starter build, which is for what you are going to be leaving the fountain at the beginning of the game, and then the complete build, which you push towards, and build towards as you play the game. Third, obviously this is not a perfect list. This is designed for beginner to intermediate level players who do not understand what every item or god in the game does and want a nice cookie cutter style build to help them continue to learn. Obviously counter building is an incredibly important part of this game that I am going to be ignoring in this video because I don't have 10 hours. Fourth, this video took me a ton of time, so if you should subscribe to this channel because I am all about helping you improve in Smite. Okay, shilling done. Time to dive in head first. Let's start by talking about ability-based hunters. This category of gods is for whenever you are going to be playing a god from the hunter class and are looking to deal damage primarily through your abilities. The starting build I recommend here is Hunter's Blessing, Morning Star, which is just the tier 1 of Transcendence, 2 health potions, and 2 multi-potions. The final build in the order of purchases is going to be Ninja Tabby for movement speed and some baseline attack speed, Transcendence for power and mana, then you're going to go into Crusher or Brawler's Beat Stick depending on if the enemy team has good healing, then you're going to go into Jotun's Wrath for more cooldown reduction, then you're going to go into Heartseeker because this is going to make the most out of all of your ability casts with the unique passive that it has. And then finally you're going to finish up with Titan's Bane, which is going to give you more penetration and help you kill tanks. The next category I have is auto attack based hunters. This category is for when you are playing the hunter class and are dealing damage primarily through auto attacks. The starting build here is going to be Hunter's Blessing, Spiked Gauntlet, which is just the tier 1 of Devourer's Gauntlet, and then 2 health potion and 2 multi-potions. The final build is going to be Ninja Tabby, again for movement speed and baseline attack speed, Bloodforge, which is going to give you lifesteal and power, then you're going to go into Executioner, which is going to give you penetration and some more attack speed, then you're going to go into Kinsai for attack speed and the passive HP drain thing. Next up is going to be Titan's Bane for additional penetration, and then finally you're going to finish up with Odysseus's Bow for that really strong passive and the additional attack speed. Now, the next category is Izanami, just because she builds completely unique in my opinion. You're going to start the same way you did with an auto attack based hunter, but the full build changes up items that are going to specifically abuse Izanami's boomerang auto attacks. So we're going to go into Ninja Tabby, Bloodforge, then Poison Star for crit, Executioner, Wind Demon for more crit, and then Shadow Steel Shuriken for more crit. Now, if you find that the enemy has a lot of healing, you can swap the Poison Star and the Shadow Steel Shuriken pickups, but this is the build I recommend on Izanami because you have to remember that each chance, so going forward and coming back, Izanami's auto attacks have a chance to crit. So these on-hit crit effects are really strong on Izanami. Now, just when you thought we were free of hunters, all hunters also have the option to build into Critical Strike. Now, in this case, you're going to start the game with Hunter's Blessing, Spiked Gauntlet, 2 health potions, and 2 multi-potions. The final build is going to be Ninja Tabby, Bloodforge, Rage, which is a very strong critical chance item, Executioner, which is going to give you penetration, which you're going to need, Deathbringer to make the most out of each crit, and then Odysseus's Bow so that you get a lot of attack speed, which is going to allow you to get more crits. This build will leave you with each auto attack having a 70% chance of a critical strike, with decent lifesteal and some decent attack speed. Now, the final note I'm going to make is for relic choices on all hunters. No matter the playstyle, you should be getting Purification Beads and Aegis Amulet. These are going to help you survive, which is important. Okay, so now that we're free of hunters, let's move on to warriors. The first category of warriors is Bruiser warriors. These are your solo lane warriors that are looking to get into the face of the enemy and be able to deal damage as well as survive a few hits. So you're building Bruiser. You're going to start the game with Warrior's Blessing, Chalice of Healing, and 4 multi-potions. Your full build is going to be Soul Eater, which is going to give you power and sustain, Warrior Tabby for mobility, Breastplate of Valor, which is going to give you cooldown reduction and physical defense. Then you're going to go into Genji's Guard for cooldown reduction and magical defense. Then you're going to go into Spirit Robe and Mantle of Discord, which are going to allow you to survive fights better. Now, the next category I have is Support Warriors. This category is for characters that I see played in support in Conquest and are looking to protect their carries rather than dive the enemy's carries. In this case, you're going to start with Guardian's Blessing. Build 4 health potions, get boots 1, and Hand of the Gods, but only if you're in Conquest. The final build in this case is going to be Reinforced Greaves, Gauntlet of Thebes, which is going to give you health and protections, Sovereignty, which is an aura of physical protection, Heartward Amulet, which is an aura of magical protection, Spirit Robe, and Mantle of Discord for your own personal survival. The next category is Auto Attack Warriors, who benefit from auto attacks more so than abilities, but again, we're back in solo lane now, so you kind of have to make that judgment call. Now, you're going to start the same way with Warrior's Blessing, Chalice of Healing, and 4 multi-potions, but you're going to build into Soul Eater once again for power and sustain, Ninja Tabby this time because that gives additional attack speed. Then you're going to go into Berserker's Shield, which gives you physical protection and a really fun passive. Then you're going to go into Shogun's Kasari, which is going to give you more attack speed and magical protection. And then Spirit Robe for survivability and Stone Cutting Sword because this passive makes you tankier and the enemy less tankier and works great on auto attack warriors. Now, for Warriors Relics, it really depends. If you're playing in the solo lane, I definitely recommend picking up Teleportation Rune in the first relic slot. Now, for support Guardians and for the solo laner's other relic, build into some of the following depending on what you want. You can go into Heavenly Wings if you want to be immune to slows sometimes. You can go into Shell if you want to have a shield sometimes. You can build into Cursed Ankh if the enemy team has really good healing. Or you can go into Frenzy if you want to increase the increase your team's damage sometimes, I should say. Now let's move on to Guardians, namely Bruiser Guardians. These are the Guardians that are looking to play more aggressive rather than defensively. Now, these can be played in solo or in support, but depending on where you are, you're going to build Warrior's Blessing in solo or Guardian's Blessing in support, Chalice of Healing in solo or 4 health potions in support. Then you're going to also build Boots if you're in support and Hand of the Gods if you're supporting in Conquest. Now, the final build for these Bruisers is going to be Shoes of the Magi for the cooldown and movement speed, Stone of Binding, which gives you baseline protections and a really fun protection shredding passive. Then you go into Void Stone, which is going to give you magical protections and auras. And then Breastplate of Valor, which is going to give you cooldown and physical protection. And then Spirit Robe and Mantle of Discord for your own personal survival. The next category is Support Guardians. These are pretty much always seen in support or for when you are going to be focusing on protecting the carries rather than attempting to kill theirs. Start with Guardian's Blessing, 4 health potions, Boots 1, and Hand of the Gods if you're in Conquest. Build into Shoes of the Magi, again, cooldown and movement speed. Then you want to go into Gauntlet of Thebes. This is a really strong support item that gives you a good aura and a lot of health. Next after that is Sovereignty, where you're going to get an aura and a lot of physical protection. Then you're going to go into Shogun's Kasari, because if you're with the carries, they're going to use that attack speed very well, so you want that aura, and it gives you magical protection. Then you're going to go into Spirit Robe and Mantle of Discord for your personal survivability. Now, relic choices for Guardians are pretty much the same as relic choices for Warriors, so follow similar logic. Now we get to dive into Mages, who have the most diversity in their build paths due to how they are designed. Now, starting with the cooldown reduction Mage build, for when you want to spam abilities. This is about characters that want to use more abilities more often. You're going to start with Mage's Blessing, build into Magic Focus, which is just the tier 1 of Divine Ruin, and then you want 2 health potions and 1 multi-potion. You're going to build into Shoes of the Magi for cooldown, then you're going to go into Spear of the Magus because this item is really fun and broken. Then you want Divine Ruin, which is going to have anti-heal, but then you're going to go into Chronos Pendant for cooldown reduction, Charon's Coin for penetration, and then Soul Reaver for power and tank shred. If the enemy team does not have a lot of anti-heal or healing you need to anti-heal, then build into Spear of Desolation instead of Divine Ruin. Now, the next category is Janus, who builds very close to this previous build. You're just going to throw in a Soul Gem after Divine Ruin, and then you don't build Soul Reaver. Janus gets to use Soul Gem incredibly well just by how his abilities interact. So yeah, that's all I'm really going to say on that. Now, next we have the Power Mage build. This is for when you're looking to do as much damage as possible with one rotation of abilities. Characters like Zeus are the best example of a character that belongs in this category. Now, you're going to start the game with Mage's Blessing, Magic Focus, 2 health potions, and 1 multi-potion, but you're going to build into Shoes of Focus, which gives you more power than the cooldown reduction alternative. Then you're going to go into Spear of the Magus, because again, really strong item. Then Divine Ruin for anti-heal. Mages should always have this item, it's really strong. Then you want Ethereal Staff for the power and passive, Soul Reaver for the power and passive, and then Obsidian Shard for penetration. Now, next we're moving into auto attack mages, for when your power comes from landing auto attacks. This build focuses on attack speed and lifesteal rather than straight power. In this case, you're going to start the game with Hunter's Blessing, an item called Emerald Ring, 2 health potions, and 2 multi-potions. Your build in this case is going to be Ring of Hecate, which is going to give you a lot of sustain and a lot of attack speed. Then you're going to go Shoes of Focus for more lifesteal. Then you're going to go into Typhon's Fang, which when built in this spot makes the other items way stronger and gives you a lot of healing. Then your next items are going to be Demonic Grip, which is going to be for protection shred, Hastened Ring, which is going to allow you to not be slowed down when you're landing auto attacks, and then Telkine's Ring, which is just a really good magical ADC item. Now, finally, we have the Lifesteal Mage build, which is for when you rely on lifesteal or want to have a lot of built healing. Now, in this case, you're going to start with Mage's Blessing and get Tiny Trinket, which is the tier 1 of Bancroft's talent. Then you want 3 health potions, and then the rest of your gold is in multi-potions. In this case, you're going to build into Bancroft's Talon because it gives a lot of power and a lot of lifesteal. Then Shoes of Focus for more lifesteal. Kronos' Pendant because you do want some cooldown reduction in this case, and Kronos' Pendant is the best bang for your buck for that category. Then you want Typhon's Fang, Spear of the Magus, and Soul Reaver. Just gives you a lot of healing and a lot of damage, so can't really go wrong with it. Now, mages are typically this glass cannon style of build, and as such your relic choices should be Purification Beads and Aegis Amulet in order to keep you safe in a pinch and to get you out of trouble. Okay, so our last category of gods is assassins, starting with auto attack based assassins, who rely on auto attacks in order to be important. Now, in this case, you're going to start with Assassin's Blessing in Conquest or Attacker's Blessing in non-Conquest. Then you're going to build into Katana, which is just the tier 1 of Golden Blade, and then 1 health potion, and then Hand of the Gods if you're in Conquest. Then you're going to build into Golden Blade because of the passive gives everyone good jungle clear. Then you want to go into Stone Cutting Sword because this passive is very strong and gives you a lot of protection shred early. Then you want Hasten Katana because this is going to let you glue to people. Then Executioner and Kinsai for the penetration and passives they give. And then finally, Magi's Cloak, because this is going to give you a free beads every 70 seconds that is just going to absorb crowd control for you. It's actually a really handy item. Now, Mercury uses a build that is very similar to this. You just substitute out the attack speed items for critical strike items. So you're going to pick up Rage, Poison Star, and Deathbringer respectively. The next category is the Power Assassin build, for when you deal damage with abilities. Now, in this case, you're going to start with Assassin's Blessing in Conquest or Attacker's Blessing in non-Conquest. Then you're going to get Mace, which is just the tier 1 of Jotun's Wrath or Brawler's Beatstick. And then you're going to pick up 1 health potion and Hand of the Gods if you're playing Conquest. This build is going to go into Warrior Tabby, then Brawler's Beatstick because we want to shut down healing. Then you want Hydra's Lament for the really fun auto attack canceling passive that, ability warriors or assassins like to abuse. Then you're going to go into Jotun's Wrath for the cooldown reduction, Heartseeker because it makes your abilities pop more, and then Titan's Bane for penetration. Next, we have Bruiser Assassins, which is a build I recommend whenever you want to be a bit tankier or when you fall behind early and need to transform into a more setup-oriented guy. In this case, you start with Assassin's Blessing or Attacker's Blessing in non-Conquest, build into the Mace again, 1 health potion, and Hand of the Gods if you're playing Conquest. Build into Warrior Tabby, Brawler's Beat Stick, and then from here you're going to actually change it up and go into Anchile, which has a little bit of power, a little bit of protections, and a really fun disrupting passive. Void Shield for another good aura and protections and power. Then Spirit Robe and Mantle of Discord for your own survivability. Now, I find assassins want to build into a more feast and famine relic selection. You definitely want to pick up Blink and Beads. Blink is going to get you closer to whoever you want to kill in a moment's notice, and Beads will keep you alive in a pinch. The order in which you pick up these relics depends on how comfortable you are or how aggressive you want to play. And that is how you build every single god in Smite. Now, I am serious. This script alone is 7 pages long, and it took me 2 whole days to write. So you best subscribe to reward my efforts. Thank you all for watching. If you want to continue to learn Smite with me right now, click that video on your screen and I'll see you there. Take it easy.